Good evening and welcome to the Town of Acton Selectmen's meeting for February 9th, 2016. First item on the agenda, a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Seconded?
All in favor? Approval of the minutes of the last meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Seconded?
All in favor? Next item is school committee. I'd like to thank you folks for all being here tonight. I want to, first of all, thank you for the last 5 years. We've only had to go up on the budget twice, and it had absolutely nothing to do with the school. Once was the county increasing our taxes to 1.5 years, and the other was for last year for the salt shed and the consolidation of the fire department and the ambulance. So I thank you folks for being so fiscally responsible, and I've enjoyed working with you. But that's not really why we have you here tonight. If we could have one of your members come up to the podium. No, could we have Jeanette Bierce up at the podium, please?
Oh, yes, you can.
Ed.
Let's get up.
Is this a big quiz? Is this a big quiz?
Yep, it is. They said that you're responsible for the budget this year, so we're gonna test
I
you.
am?
Yeah.
Big test, big test. Oh, no, oh, no.
A dedication to Jeanette Bierce.
Oh, my God.
What is the definition of truly giving of oneself? We believe that this year's dedication recipient exemplifies and defines the generous spirit of giving. It is often said that when one gives, it may not come back and then from where or whom you think it should. But in some ways, it always does. The energy you put out will always recirculate and find its perfect way back to you. So whether you buy gifts, volunteer your time, or donate food or money to a charity, your giving is much more than just an elected or an appointed chore. It is with great honor the Town of Acton dedicates the 2015 Town Report to Jeanette Bierce. Because of Jeanette's approach, it helped build stronger social connections between the school system and the community. Her involvement also jump-started a cascade of generosity through the Town of Acton. For Jeanette Bierce, her time and commitment was never about her best interest or self-approval. We all won as residents in town by having Jeanette Bierce become involved. Jeanette is serving in her 17th year as a member of the Acton School Committee. She is, you didn't know that?
I can never remember.
She has never had a child in the Acton school system, yet arguably has had a more profound impact on the Acton Elementary School than anyone. Jeanette is a template for giving back to better her community for generations to come. Serving 14 years on the school's policy committee, much of the school's daily operations are driven by Jeanette's foresight, hard work, and compassion. Always fair and never to be outworked, Jeanette's quick wit and enduring work ethic will be forever appreciated. Jeanette was first elected in 1998, and during her tenure on the committee, Jeanette has served as chairman, vice chairman, been a member of the policy committee, finance committee, contract negotiations committee, and has been exemplary in her faithful attendance at school committee meetings. She has generously given of her time and resources to the children of Acton Elementary School, including being a part of the 6th grade science camp staff for many years. Additionally, Jeanette supports many special school projects, using her school commitment stipend to assist with the payback program, the 100-day celebration for the Acton Food Pantry, and other students' needs that may arise during the year. A registered nurse by vocation, Jeanette was a volunteer with the Acton Ambulance Association in its early years. She also has been a school bus driver in both Acton and Shapley. She has no idle time, generously volunteering in a Sanford nursing home and willingly helping anyone who has a need. Thank you, Jeanette, for your years of service on the Acton School Committee and for your many contributions to both the children of Acton and the Acton community.
Oh, my goodness. I can't believe it. Does that mean I'm done?
No, no.
Isn't that something? Oh, my. Oh, my goodness, I can't imagine. Are you sure that's me?
That's you.
Oh,
I have to add, I had the privilege of working with her for 1 year, and thank God we didn't have the TV on then, because she had me in stitches every night in the school board meeting. She sat beside me, and you made me laugh every night. It was great.
all right, okay. Oh, I can't.
Congratulations, Sean.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for everything
Thank you
you've
very
done.
much. Oh,
Thank
my,
you.
thanks. Thank you very much. And it
Speech.
really, no, I have no speech. I'm speechless for the first time. Thank you.
Good luck, I just pulled in.
Oh, good. Okay, I'd like to thank the Sheriff's Department. Chief Barron and Major Mitchell are here tonight. One of the residents came up to us after the meeting last Tuesday night, and I guess there's been a lot going around about break-ins in Acton and Shapley, and I guess it's gone beyond that. So we asked them if they would come in and fill you in on what's going on, and if you have any questions, you can ask the chief and the major. Chief?
All right, well, thank you. We have been experiencing many burglaries over the last couple of months. And the burglaries range from breaking into sheds to actually breaking into homes. And a lot of the items being taken are small items that can be resold quickly, to include some power tools, jewelry, and we've had at least 6 firearms taken in these burglaries. We have an active investigation, and we're working with many different agencies, including the state police, the Maine State Police, as well as New Hampshire agencies, because this has also been occurring over in Effingham and Milton and so forth. So we feel that the residents need to be well-versed on, calling us when things happen or when things are suspicious. A lot of times we get calls when, I saw something in the paper and I thought I would call now. We would ask that if you see something that is not a known vehicle in your area, it doesn't fit, you don't know and don't recognize it, to call us. This is how we are going to get and gather the information. The areas involved with the burglaries range from all the way up in Parsonsfield over to Leamington, Waterboro, and obviously Acton and Shapley have been hit in various homes and so forth. A couple of things that we would ask is that if you see or you have somebody walk up to your house and you do not see a car, that should be a red flag as to where did this person come from? Why are they walking up to my house? A lot of times what they'll do is they'll knock on the door to see if anybody's home. And if somebody does come to the door, they'll say, I'm looking for Bob Smith. Is Bob here? And that should raise some flags with people as well. With cell phones and GPSs and so forth, people know where people live. The other thing is say, if you don't see a vehicle and you see somebody walking up to a residence and you've got a long driveway, for example, that should also be an indicator. Where is this person's car? Call us. If somebody comes to your door and says, my car broke down, it's down the road, can I use your phone? If you're letting somebody into your house, then they also may be looking for what you have in your house. So you should say, I'll call the sheriff's office for you. If they turn around and immediately leave and kind of skedaddle down the road, you need to call us immediately, because that is probably something that they're using to get into people's homes. So we suspect these people are watching. A lot of these burglaries are taking place between the morning hours until, and I say morning, about 8 o'clock until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. A number of the burglaries have taken place during that time period. So it's working hours. Or we had one situation where it was an elderly gentleman went and got his mail. These people, or whoever was responsible for the burglary, saw that the person was leaving and then went to the residence and broke into the house and stole, what they could get their hands on. So the sheriff's office is asking everybody to be very vigilant in watching, observing what's going around, what's going on in your neighborhood, because this is how we're going to get information. Now, we do have, and we are working on the case, and we're working with many different agencies, but we're trying to get all the information we can. Potentially, there could be a couple of different groups maybe doing the burglaries. So we are asking for your help in trying to determine and catch these people. So does anybody have any questions? Or Major, do you have anything to add?
Let me just add one thing. I've had many of occasions to interview actual burglars that were caught in the act and kind of try and get what their mentality is. The biggest thing I've ever gotten out of it is very obvious. They don't want to be seen. That's why if you answer a door when somebody knocks on it, and most of them do that, they're going to check and see if anybody's home, because the last thing they want to do is enter a house with somebody inside, for the most part, your common, if you will, everyday burglar. They don't want that confrontation because now they've been seen. So that their whole goal is to remain as anonymous as possible. So even if you see somebody at your door and they ring the doorbell, knock on the door, and you happen to be home alone, you don't know who the person is, make yourself known that somebody's in the house. You don't have to answer the door if you don't feel safe. Just make it be known, talk through the door, let them see you walk by or something like that. Because if you don't answer the door, the other thing is they think nobody's home, and then we don't want you in that situation where you're truly in fear then. So that's what you want to do. Just be vigilant, make yourself known. And whatever you can observe, and like the chief said, call us right away. It's not uncommon for humans to call days afterwards because they think it was read in the newspaper, it was seen on TV. Oh, I remember that. That's great you did that, and it actually could help. I'm not saying that, don't still do that, but the sooner the better. Burglaries are very difficult to solve on their own without some kind of forensics evidence. But we rely on witnesses more than anything, and any kind of information then, because what you saw might be a piece of what somebody else didn't see, and then we can start putting the pieces together to identify the offenders. Question.
Chief, besides the burglaries, have there been any home invasions with their coming in while there are people inside the home?
There was, there's some cases.
Drug related though.
Yeah, but there's some cases that we're working on, or we have made arrests in those cases already. Those were drug related, and not in Acton or Shapley, but we did have some drug related home invasions, but those people were all arrested.
Anybody else? While the chief and the major are here, we are going to have a warrant article on this June because the sheriff's contract runs out in January. And we will not be getting grant money, so we will have to pay for the full price for the deputy. So we will have them come back for a public hearing so we can ask any questions about continuing on with the sheriff's department, which I fully support. And we will be doing that as we get closer to June. So be thinking about that. Our contract runs out in January, so we have Dan for 6 more months on the old contract, and then we have to start a new one. And will we be doing that for 4 years again, is that correct?
Yeah, there will be either 3 or 4 year contract.
Okay. And I believe Shapley is ready to go forward with it for the next
They seem
contract.
to be, yep, they seem
Okay.
to be pretty happy, yep. And if I can just say a couple of words, the contract deputy program has got a lot of value, and I think all of you, or many of you have had, Deputy Shaw talk with you, or you've seen Deputy Shaw. The visibility and the personal contact that the contract deputy provides is outstanding, and it's community policing at its best. Because Deputy Shaw really knows this community, he knows Shapley, he knows the people And he's working diligently on these burglaries as well. But it's a great interaction with the community and the sheriff's office. There's some towns that don't have the contract deputy. They get a deputy when they call. They don't have the contact and the personalization like you do with Deputy Shaw. So,
Well, the other thing is the consistency. Before we had sheriff for 1 month and the state police for the next month, and a lot more crime has been solved because we have the consistency of Dan following through on these things.
absolutely. And you'll see some of the numbers when I come back and the sheriff and I come back and the major to talk about the program, you're gonna see some of your numbers have actually decreased. The reason they've decreased is because of the visibility, the contact, people knowing that he's in and around this area has also a deterrent. So absolutely, it's an outstanding program, and I compliment the town of Acton for taking that proactive step, because it's really, it's a life quality thing that you have put into place. So, thank you.
Anybody else have anything for them? No? Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Major.
Thank you very much.
Before school board has to leave and go to their meeting, I forgot to thank Judy Shane and Jim Driscoll. They were the ones that wrote your dedication, so you know that. Appreciate you doing that. All right. Fire chief update?
Okay. As you all know, as everybody knows, the consolidation is gone through, and we're diligently working on getting everything all taken care of. There's a lot of little things, vendors and everything. Again, thank you to Jennifer for her help, and Michelle's and the board and everything on that part there, and also for Jen Gore. She's been phenomenal helping me, making phone calls. A lot of these vendors, we have to make contact during the day and stuff, so everything is really going together. We worked real good last week, getting everything up and running and stuff, so that part there is going good. Filling the shifts, like I mentioned at the last Selectmen's meeting, that right now was done by personnel on the department. So right now we got 24/7 coverage and everything. So 98% of the time I have a firefighter and a medic on. Once in a while we'll just have, either somebody calls in sick or we have that one spot where we have one person, but we got round the clock coverage right now. Call times phenomenal, in the response time and everything, so it's going real good.
Are we making all our own ambulance calls now?
Yes.
Are
Yep.
we doing any in other towns?
Yes, we have. Jim, we've done a couple.
Yeah.
And as time goes on, and as this all starts working smoother and smoother as each week goes by, area towns realize that we are manned. So if it's a real bad call, they'll call for us, or if they just need us for a mutual aid ambulance call there. So yes, we're working on that there too. So and Jen Gore has worked with Michelle with Michelle Rumney with the billing information, the billing company we're using. So we're getting that all taken care of and up and running and stuff. So we should have a pretty easy transition and everything. So
That's great.
yep. So a few weeks ago, you guys had come to me and asked me my thoughts because of the way the warrant article is written, that we would have a fire chief when that position is filled, and then a deputy rescue chief and a deputy fire chief. Is that-
Just deputy chiefs.
Deputy chief, excuse me, yep, to oversee the operations of those. In a lot of thought and everything. Again, Jen Gore has done a fabulous job in helping me and keeping things going and everything, but I think we need a liaison person between us and everything right now. We are licensed at the basic level, the rescue is, but we're also permitted to the paramedic level. So I wrote this up. It says, as you know, consolidation is passed to run the rescue efficiently. I am recommending that intern deputy rescue chief be Richard S. Smith of 480 East Shore Drive of Acton, Maine. Per your approval, upon the hiring of a new fire chief, this position, as well as the deputy fire chief, could change. In the meantime, the rescue needs leadership and structure, and there is still a lot of work that needs to be done at the state level. As you read Richard's resume, you will find that he is more than qualified to lead the rescue in an intern. I am recommending that we have to change the date there because we were called off on a call last week. We'll use February 9th as today, 2016, to hire him in as that position. And you see his resume. The reason why I talked to Rick about that, as you can see on his resume, he works for some other organizations, spends a lot of time at the state level talking with state personnel and everything at the Maine EMS office, and as we all know, things are always changing and that there. So if you don't mind, Ricky, if you'd like to come up and introduce yourself, and we'll...
Like Dave said, I usually go by Rick. My name is Rick Smith. Dave approached me if I had interest in this position because of my experience and time in this field and in this industry. I started in Acton as a 14-year-old junior. I'm 28 now. I've worked full-time for the city of Sanford. I'm a lieutenant on the Engine 3 down at the airport. And I also work for Wells EMS, where I'm the deputy director of operations. In taking this position, I'm going to kind of step back from my stuff in Wells, which I've already discussed with the director down there, so I can shift my focus on coming back to my hometown and providing help here to get this ball up and running. I've worked through systems that have gone through transitions like this before. I've worked in split systems where we have full-time per diem and volunteer staff. I'm very familiar with the ins and outs of this. Along with that, I'm also a Maine State fire instructor. I work for the agency that trains all firefighters for the state of Maine, and I'm a licensed instructor coordinator for the EMS system, so I can bring the ability to train and educate our firefighters and EMTs. So with Dave's blessing and with you guys' blessing, I'd like to take this position and help us kind of transition into this new dawn that we're approaching to make Acton Fire Rescue the best that it can be.
And then, as I read, when the full-time chief is hired on,
It's only 30 days.
what's that? And then when he's hired on, we understand that we're gonna have to submit, if we wanna continue our role as we are on the fire department, we submit our application, our resume, and
Follow the due process.
and the way it goes. But right now, like I said, there is so many little things here and there, I think, for us to be running efficiently and everything, whether it's 4 weeks, 5 weeks, or next week, however it may be, so.
Just make a motion for each of them, and then
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds good. There's two things we have to do. We need to re-up yours for another month,
Okay.
Dave, because yours is expiring. So I'll make a motion that we reappoint Dave Langley as the interim fire chief, and along with that motion, that we make Rick Smith the interim deputy chief.
Second.
All in favor? To David Langley, the Selectmen of the Municipality of Acton, do in accordance with the provisions of the laws of the State of Maine, hereby appoint you as interim fire chief with and for the Municipality of Acton until March 4th, 2016, given under our hand this 9th day of February. To Richard Smith, the Selectmen of the Municipality of Acton, do in accordance with the provisions of the laws of the State of Maine, hereby appoint you as interim deputy chief within and for the Municipality of Acton until March 4th, 2016, given under our hand this 9th day of February. So everybody knows we are pretty close to the end of the process of hiring a permanent fire chief, and we're doing interim fire chief and interim assistant chief until our permanent fire chief comes in, and then at that time, the fire, what do you call yourself? Commission will then interview and hire 2 deputy chiefs and the employees that'll be full-time. So right now, we're just month by month until we get the permanent employees in place. So thank you very much for offering to do this for us, and look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Can you remind them they need to take their oath at some point?
Oh, yeah. Gentlemen, before you leave tonight, you have to see Jennifer and take your oath. Okay, thank you. Fire Rescue Consolidation Update, Dr. Williams.
Good evening, gentlemen. We have good news. The commission has worked long and hard. We've had 5 meetings, 1 electronic meeting. We've vetted 13 people, come up with a small nucleus of acceptable, and now have gone into great detail with those smaller groups in terms of vetting out people who may not be appropriate based on this criteria that you gave us, as well as the experience of the fire professionals around the table at the commission. We will be able to give you a name by the end of this week for recommendation for appointment. There's still a few things that have to be done, including the agility test and the criminal background check, which is already in motion. That should be finished by late tomorrow evening. We'll probably meet electronically again on Thursday. The letter will be prepared for you, and you should receive it either Thursday or no later than Friday. That's for the chief. As far as the deputies are concerned, we'll be meeting next week and organize how we're going to do this. I think the general feeling of the commission is that they wish to pull candidates from the existing personnel in-house without posting it all over. And so
These are not paid positions, and they're
Correct.
not going to be employees, so
That's correct.
that'd be fine. And while we're on that, as you know, I had asked for the top 3 candidates to come to the Selectmen, but the history has been that the fire department would always recommend to the Selectmen.
exactly, that's it. We had a long discussion about that and read and reread the ordinance 7.1, 2, and 3.
Right, but my concern was that it was always an appointment before, and now it's a municipal employee.
I understand.
So we contacted MMA, and it's perfectly fine for the commission to go through the whole interview process, which you have some incredible people on that commission with all the experience that I don't have.
It's been very, very deep. We really have gone into extremely deep investigatory implementation of your desires. We have 3 people at the top now, one of which we are definitely not going to pursue. That leaves us with 2 people, and everyone is in unanimous decision as to which of those 2 should be presented to you. This is after a great deal of effort. As I said, we have had 5 meetings, including weekend meetings, looking into all of this in a very non-capricious, very careful procedural.
All right, but I want to get this on the record, since this is the first employee we're going to hire in the fire department, and we're going to be hiring more. So for the future, for the commission and for future employees, the MMA says, I don't think there's anything illegal or unethical about the process being the process that you folks are going through
Right,
now.
correct.
In fact, it's quite similar to the process for appointed or department heads in a town manager town. In those cases, the town manager will do the interviewing and then recommend to the selectmen. Of course, the selectmen still have the right to decline, because that's the ultimate right at the end. But there is nothing wrong with this commission pushing forward the candidate that they want after going through the process that you've
Apparently,
gone through.
traditionally, it was done that way, and I think we also have a letter.
Well, it was done that way because it was a volunteer and it was an
Understand.
appointed position. This is a municipal.
Understand completely.
Could I finish?
Surely.
It's a municipal appointment, so that was where my concern was. And that's why I
Understand.
had to have that addressed. So once your commission is done, and we want to put that forward, and then we will meet
Change
with
the-
him, we will meet with the candidate, and then we will go from there.
Hopefully, you might be able to clarify the ordinance a little better, because that's where the problem lay.
No, actually, the problem was the question of who's responsible for the hiring of a municipal employee was what my question was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, we just took
And
the
and the
wording.
ordinance mentioned.
We're going to
appointment.
recommend a name to you for appointment if you decide not to appoint this
No, I don't
person.
think, like I said, I don't think it'll be an issue. You have
All right.
very skilled and experienced people on there.
Correct.
And as long as they're all in agreement, then I don't see any reason that I would vote against
It
it.
was a unanimous decision.
So that's great to hear.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. Library maintenance. There's nobody here from the library?
I'm here to speak on her behalf. She's out of town.
Could I say something before we get into that?
Sure.
I guess there's been a lot of concern around town from something I said at a meeting last week. The library came in looking for money. We're looking for some money to change the town hall to be more receptive to the taxpayers. And I mentioned that we should look into it a little further with the possibility of moving the library into the old fire station and the possibility of moving the town clerk's office into the library, and just to look at the financial differences between the money that it would cost to change the town clerk's office and the money it would cost to fix the fire department as opposed to fixing the old library. Well, we had a contractor and a code enforcement officer look at the fire station, and both are in agreement that we should take that building and put it in a dumpster. There is absolutely no insulation in there, and we are not moving the library into the fire station, and we are not moving the town clerk's office into the library, and the gym is staying where it is. So all I asked was to look into it and get financial, because a lot of people, especially since this fire department consolidation, a lot of people have come up with great ideas for the ambulance building. Well, the fire department and the rescue have a big concern about us using that building for anything other than fire and rescue, and I have to agree with them. If we have a library in there or a gym in there and people start pulling personal cars in there and they have to get out and go to a fire or to get the ambulance out, and somebody just happens to park in front of a door, it's just going to be a nightmare for them. Plus, they use that parking lot for a lot of their training, and they're going to be using it, I imagine, for this test that they're going to be giving to these firefighters that we're going to hire. So I agree with the fire department, and I would always vote against putting anything in that building over there other than fire and rescue while I'm here. So there is no cancellation of the gym, so those of you that got the email and came here tonight for that, don't worry about it, okay? All right, Jim.
So, in regards to the library maintenance, I have been speaking to Elise since the meeting that I think you guys talked to her after the meeting last week, kind of off the record, just to kind of figure out what we could do to maybe work some of those projects into this year's budget. After reviewing the building maintenance account and kind of seeing where we're at, there's been some discussion about going ahead and putting the furnace in, which you guys okayed. We actually put the furnace in there today, so that was a huge help for them, and they're very, very appreciative of that. The other thing that we talked about doing this year was the carpet. It does still look like you've got enough money in building maintenance with plenty of wiggle room to put that carpet in. The quote doesn't change from what you guys kind of talked about with Elise last week. However, it does look like they might need to put a plywood flooring underneath there.
They do have to do the underlayment.
The thing is that both companies have recommended it, and neither one can give you 100% until they tear it up. Based on the age of it and based on the condition in that front walkway, remember they had to put that plywood under there. When you're gonna have a carpet that's gonna last you another, these have guarantees of 35 years, and they're tiles, the little squares that you can replace here and there. So for a difference of $1,500 and $1,900, whatever the plywood comes in at, it's just a good decision long-term. So it is gonna put us right around the $5,000 mark for the project. In regards to the, going out to bid, I think that it's similar to how we've handled the salt in the past. We have bids from 2 different flooring companies in Sanford, and certainly, if the board so wishes, I can look for a third, but they're pretty similar money-wise. Our biggest concern, not concern, but the biggest thing that we have at this point is trying to figure out, is scheduling it and figuring out how we're gonna move everything. As much as the library kind of mentioned that they could get some volunteers and some directors maybe to come forward, our insurance kind of frowns upon that, so we may be looking at, hiring some of our maintenance men, if you will, to move some of it, because we don't want anybody to get hurt in the process. So there was also some talk about possibly renting a small pod and just moving all the books into that. The library's gonna have to close for about a week to make it happen and happen right. So with your continued blessing, Elise and I will continue to move forward with that, schedule it with the directors and kind of go from there. She, if that's okay, the library is willing to withdraw the request for a warrant article at this point. They do want to, continue down the road, or maybe next year, talk about the insulation underground. You mentioned to her, I guess, that you put some extra money in maintenance. She's not holding you to it or anything, she's just hoping that you'll maybe keep that in mind as we move forward.
Yeah, I think they'll find with the rug and that new heater in there that's down at the floor level instead of in the roof. And we did discover there is insulation in the walls, because when Kenny did the siding, he insulated all the other buildings, but the insulation was already in the walls of the library. And the ceiling is already insulated, and it's just underneath the floor that needs to be done. And we have put additional money into next year's budget for maintenance, but also we're asking for money to finish the siding, so we won't be using any of the maintenance money for siding, so we
And
should be able to fix that.
we talked about the doors as well. I think that'll make a difference with the cold as well.
Well, the doors we'll have to add into the siding part of the job, because when they tear off the entranceway, if the town approves the entranceway and the siding, then the doors will be fixed at the same time as the siding is fixed.
So do I have your blessing to move forward with the carpet?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Yes, it'll teeter right around that $5,000 mark, if not a little more. But we'll keep it down as much as we can. There was some talk about possibly doing some of the disposal ourselves, so we're working as much as we can to get the number down.
Okay, sounds good. Any thought to asking Carl to put one of his small box trailers up here for the books?
I believe he's out of state, but
Okay,
what I can do.
library maintenance done. Town hall reconstruction, we need to make a motion and vote on putting the change in the office on the floor.
What did we have for a dollar amount?
25,000.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with on the warrant for the town hall reconstruction, up to
Second.
25,000.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, and you are gonna go out to bids for that?
Yes,
Okay. And it's gonna be design and build, right?
correct.
Okay.
Are we, a couple of meetings ago, before we tabled it last week, you had told me to go ahead and go out for an RFP. I mean, at some point, we need to think about, I know we're waiting for all the department budgets to come in to kind of see where the tax rate's going to fall, but if these are going to be projects that we're going to start the 1st of July, we need to think about going out to bid for some of these things and just putting the clause in there, similar to the sand and salt shed, that, with the approval of town meeting, just so we can be ready to go come July, so.
Well, we did that with the salt shed, so we could come up with a figure for the salt
Right,
shed, so
right.
it worked fine.
So the roof, I mean, so everything we've,
Yeah, the fire department roof and the change in here, the maintenance, the new building in here.
and the library walkway.
Yeah, the walkway and the siding.
Well, the
No, siding,
siding,
we've already been out to bid for that, that's right.
so you want to start working on those to have them out in March, April?
Abandoned properties?
Just an update, the town has been notified of a court date, which is going to be in Springvale on February 29th at 10:15. Attorney Lankowski will be present, and he has asked for the code enforcement to be present as well, so,
Does he need one of us?
no.
Okay, good. And winter sand salt shed.
I spoke to Ken Paul, and he indicated to me that he's left a message with Mr. Winchell regarding going ahead and pulling the permit and, picking the best possible location. He gave him some measurements. I'm not sure where else it stands. You were going to speak to him?
I will. Again. Okay, we've done the appointments. Do you have anything else?
I don't know.
Okay. Any other business? No?
What's that?
Any public comments?
Why don't you just ask Winchell? I know we have 2 road commissioners. You just said we'll ask Winchell. I'm just curious.
Because it's his side of town.
And what was that for?
The salt shed my students built, we had to take it down to put the big salt shed up,
Yeah.
and it's portable. We just want them to set it back up so people can go get buckets of sand.
Oh, so it's not over there right now?
It's over there, but it's in pieces. It's blocks, and then it's a roof, and we had to move it for the construction, and he had to go and see Kenny to get permission to put it back up because of zoning and all that,
Is
so
it gonna go in between what the old salt shed and then?
he's gonna put it back where it was, he's gonna put it back where it was last year. right out, so you have your own access just to that.
Mary, if I can add to that, in the beginning of winter, when we started talking about where the residents were gonna be able to get sand, I did speak to both road commissioners, and Scott took care of the sand at the transfer station, that first day. That's why there's been no continued bring up of that conversation. But, so they were both involved, just with two different projects.
All right, so hearing none. Town of Acton, public notice. The Acton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, April 7th, 2016, at 7 PM for the discussion of a proposed change to the Acton zoning ordinance relative to resource protection exceptions at the Acton Town Hall, 35 H Road, Acton, Maine. Okay,
April 7th.
yep. Motion?
I move that we adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor? How are you, sir? What's that? Yeah, no, we're gonna have them